video, and it looked like WNBA fans is pissed off over A'ja Wilson and her special whistle.
Did A'ja Wilson just get handed a game-winning shot, or is the entire WNBA system rigged in her favor? That's the shocking question sports fans are demanding answers to after a recent walk-off victory that should have been celebrated as pure clutch, but instead ignited a firestorm of controversy across social media. While the highlight reels glowed, a darker narrative emerged, accusations of a special whistle, suggesting the officials are practically gift-wrapping wins for Wilson's team, the Las Vegas Aces. It's a stark contrast to how other stars, like the immensely popular Caitlin Clark, seem to get knocked around every single game with barely a peep from the refs. Something undeniably fishy is brewing in Vegas, and it begs the question, is A'ja Wilson genuinely asterisk that asterisk dominant, or is she simply asterisk that asterisk protected?
You give the ball to Adrian. Get out of the way. That's all the play was.
Yeah, I feel like in that moment, if a coach has to tell me what to do, I'm not doing my job. And she just drew up a play. It wasn't really even a play.
Very basic.
Yeah, it was pretty much what you saw. And I'm appreciative that Becky trusts me in those moments. But those playoff basketball moments, those are the moments that you live for. So I'm glad I was able to show up. I get on my guards for not just coming to work, so I'm glad I was able to come.
Let's first acknowledge the undeniable brilliance of that game-winning shot. It was, by all accounts, incredibly clutch. A'ja Wilson, with ice in her veins, pulled up from deep and sunk the shot that sent the crowd into an absolute frenzy. The highlight shows replayed it endlessly, a moment of pure, unadulterated basketball magic. Yet, beneath the surface of all that well-deserved hype and celebration, a significant number of eagle-eyed fans began noticing something profoundly unsettling. They observed the way the referees seemed to be meticulously glued to her every movement on the court, almost as if an invisible "do not touch" sign was perpetually hovering directly over her head, shielding her from any legitimate defensive contact.
Something we have to talk about is the amount of free throws A'ja Wilson is getting off. Not only just the amount of free throws she's getting off, the free throws and the calls that is pretty much garnering her the type of performances like this. She never gets in foul trouble. She gets all her calls. At this point, bro, this is unprecedented. I feel as if Caitlin Clark needs this damn whistle. Everybody should be pitching a bitch about A'ja Wilson whistle because the WNBA was so far in the sunken damn place, no one paid attention to the sport. No one ever watched the first two damn championships.
This perceived favoritism has now been colloquially dubbed the A'ja Whistle by countless fans online, and frankly, they might be onto something substantial. This isn't merely about one questionable call in a single high-stakes game. It's rapidly being exposed as a deeply ingrained pattern, one that disgruntled Fever fans in particular have been vocally protesting and screaming about since as far back as last season. The consistency of these officiating trends has escalated what might have been dismissed as isolated incidents into a full-blown systemic concern, raising serious questions about fairness and equity within the league's officiating standards.
Mainstream media, and now people is paying attention. Not only is we paying attention, we're noticing a pattern, and the pattern is A'ja Wilson get this damn special whistle. Like, this should be looked into, bro.
To grasp the full scope of this escalating mess, we need to rewind to a recent showdown in Phoenix, where Wilson's Aces found themselves entangled in another nail-biting, down-to-the-wire contest. The final score has faded from collective memory, utterly overshadowed by the glaring officiating disparity that day. A'ja Wilson was awarded an astonishing 12 free throws, while the opposing team's star, Satu Sabally, was visibly and repeatedly hacked, pummeled, and fouled like a lumberjack attacking a tree, yet barely even sniffed the free throw line. To add insult to injury, Sabally sustained an injury during the physical onslaught, with her coach later revealing she was so shaken or hurt that she wasn't even present in the locker room after the game. And the referee's response to this egregious physical play? Absolutely nothing. While it's crucial to give credit where it's due, A'ja Wilson is undoubtedly a phenomenally talented athlete when nearly every close game consistently culminates with her dominating the free throw line. While the opposing team's best players are benched with a flurry of questionable fouls, people inevitably start to take serious notice of the pattern. It's not just the hardcore, longtime WNBA aficionados who are raising eyebrows, even the legions of casual fans, many of whom have only just jumped onto the WNBA bandwagon thanks to the electrifying arrival of Caitlin Clark, are now looking around with a palpable sense of confusion, asking, wait a minute, why does A'ja Wilson always seem to get the softest whistle? Because here's the undeniable truth. A'ja doesn't just receive calls, she appears to receive an almost impenetrable shield of protection. You'll rarely, if ever, see her burdened with foul trouble, effectively allowing her to play with an aggressive freedom unmatched by her peers. Her calls are almost never overturned, solidifying the perception that her word on the court carries an unspoken weight. And somehow, she manages to engage in full throttle, physical defense, often making contact that would instantly draw a whistle on virtually any other player, yet remains uncalled, while others are swiftly penalized for merely breathing too close to an opponent. At a certain point, this isn't merely exceptional skill, it starts to look an awful lot like undeniable privilege. The digital battleground of X, formerly known as Twitter, is absolutely overflowing with receipts from frustrated fans. A torrent of clips has been meticulously compiled, showcasing everything from flagrant illegal screens that go uncalled to phantom fouls being inexplicably whistled on her opponents. The most infuriating cherry on top for many is watching A'ja seemingly receive continuation calls on contact that barely registers as a graze. Take one notorious example, A'ja sets what is an undeniably obvious moving screen. Even the seasoned announcers, known for their neutrality, audibly exclaim, "That's a foul." Yet when the referees finally blow their whistles, it's never ever on her. In another baffling instance, a defender perfectly boxes out for a rebound. Wilson crashes forcefully into her, and somehow the call is a jump ball, a baffling interpretation of contact. Contrast this with virtually any play involving Caitlin Clark or Aliyah Boston. If they so much as breathe too heavily near an opponent, it's an automatic, instantaneous foul. This glaring discrepancy has reached such an absurd level that some fans are even drawing parallels to infamous sports scandals like Deflategate. Yes, the very Tom Brady football controversy that rocked the NFL. That's how preposterous and visibly lopsided this situation has become in the eyes of the public. Moreover, if you're inclined to dismiss these criticisms as merely the bitter complaints of salty Fever fans, you need to reconsider. The chorus of concern isn't confined to a single fan base. Neutral observers and even a surprising number of Aces supporters themselves have begun to openly admit, alright, this is genuinely getting weird. The widespread nature of these observations lends significant weight to the claims of biased officiating. However, what truly ignited this powder keg of public outrage was the WNBA's official account posting a highlight reel after that controversial game winner, effusively praising A'ja Wilson's unreal clutch performance. The comment section beneath that post swiftly transformed into a digital war zone, a direct reflection of the league's deeply divided perception. Roughly half the comments offered genuine congratulations on a great shot, a deserved acknowledgement of her talent. But the other half, a massive tide of dissenting voices, screamed variations of course she made it. The refs practically carried her all night. When your official highlight reel's comment section resembles a contentious courtroom debate, it's a clear, undeniable sign that public trust in the officiating, and perhaps even the league's impartiality, is severely fractured. Let's delve into the cold hard data, because numbers, unlike subjective opinions, rarely lie. A'ja Wilson currently leads the entire league with an astounding average of almost 8.3 free throw attempts per game. To put that figure into stark context, that's more than double the average free throw attempts of Caitlin Clark, who famously endures a relentless barrage of physical contact every single night, often appearing as though she owes everyone on the court a substantial sum of money. In total, Wilson has already amassed over 290 free throws this season alone. At this point, it's not merely a competitive race to the line, it's beginning to look suspiciously like a well-established monopoly. Now, consider this perplexing anomaly. How is it genuinely possible for one singular player to consistently lead the league in free throws year after year, yet simultaneously never be the one fouling out of games or racking up technical fouls? The logical conclusions are stark and unsettling. Either she has somehow mastered the game of basketball to an almost alien, superhuman level of perfection, or the officials are quite simply treating her with the deference and untouchable status reserved exclusively for royalty. And let's be absolutely clear, fans aren't expressing anger because A'ja Wilson is an incredibly skilled player. They are furious because the league, through its officiating, is creating an undeniable perception that she is utterly beyond reproach, an untouchable force on the court, while others are subjected to entirely different standards. This double standard is particularly glaring when we pivot to the treatment of Caitlin Clark. Now in her second year, she's no longer the wide-eyed rookie everyone expected to pick on, yet the calls still inexplicably fail to go her way. She's routinely knocked to the floor, elbowed, and aggressively pushed out of bounds, while the officiating whistle remains eerily silent, as if someone has deliberately hit the mute button, leaving fans to wonder just what it takes for her to get a fair shake. Imagine this, a star player gets merely a tap on the wrist for a clear infraction, while the officials scramble to the free throw line faster than shoppers on Black Friday, eager to award her team points. This isn't just an isolated incident, it's a glaring double standard that infuriates fans and casts a long shadow over every victory. It's precisely why, whenever A'ja Wilson's team clinches a close game, a mental asterisk automatically appears in the minds of countless viewers, raising uncomfortable questions about the legitimacy of the win. The stark reality of this alleged favoritism was never clearer than in a recent clash between Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever and the Aces. Picture this pivotal possession. Clark, driving hard to the basket, is visibly hacked, yet the whistle remains stubbornly silent. Moments later, on the very next play, A'ja Wilson receives the lightest brush from a defender, and instantly the referees are signaling for 2 free throws. The Fever bench, veterans of this disheartening pattern, could only watch in stunned silence, a collective sigh of resignation hanging in the air. At this point, even vocal complaints feel utterly futile, validating the fan coin telling term the special whistle. Now I know what some of you are thinking, she's a star. Stars always get calls. And you're not wrong, to an extent. There's a fundamental difference, however, between legitimate star treatment and what many are now calling outright referee worship. True star treatment is earned. It's the result of aggressive, high-impact play that draws contact. Think of LeBron James, who consistently attacks the rim, inviting fouls, or Steph Curry, who shoots through contact, legitimately earning trips to the line. But when A'ja Wilson can play an entire half without a single foul being called against her, or when statistics from 2023 reveal she led the entire league in free throw attempts, it begins to stretch the definition of star treatment to its breaking point. This isn't about respecting a superstar, it's about a pattern that for many screams of an unfair advantage. The same baffling pattern manifests itself again and again, with different opponents and different officials, yet yielding the exact same predictable results. It's gotten to the point where if you're a dedicated fan, you could almost predict the box score before tip-off, knowing exactly who will be racking up free throws and who will be left frustrated by uncalled contact. It's a disheartening cycle of lather, rinse, repeat, chipping away at the integrity of the game, and this systemic predictability is precisely why a growing chorus of fans is now declaring, unequivocally, that enough is enough. Because now, for the first time in its history, the WNBA finally has mainstream eyes fixed upon it, thanks in large part to the arrival of Caitlin Clark. Before her arrival, only the most hardcore fans truly paid attention to these subtle officiating discrepancies. But in this new era, every single moment, every missed call, every controversial whistle trends across social media within minutes. So if A'ja Wilson is perceived to get away with a questionable foul or steps to the free throw line for an excessive number of attempts again, you better believe people will meticulously clip it, post it across every platform, and tag everyone from ESPN to Elon Musk. That's the undeniable new reality of the league. The WNBA simply cannot afford another scandal suggesting favoritism, not when the Fever are driving unprecedented record TV ratings, and half of those new crucial viewers are already convinced the referees are operating with a clear predetermined agenda. And speaking of agendas, let's delve into why this might actually be happening, because honestly, there's a theory circulating that is starting to make far too much unsettling sense. The Las Vegas Aces are undeniably the WNBA's marquee attraction, a powerhouse team brimming with talent, backed by the glitz of casino sponsorships, and aggressively promoted as the league's dominant dynasty. They are, in essence, the WNBA's money team, marketable, consistently victorious, and a guaranteed crowd puller. It stands to reason, then, that the league would want its most valuable asset to succeed and advance deep into the playoffs. And how exactly does a league ensure its star-studded centerpiece remains intact and thrives under pressure? By subtly, and perhaps not so subtly, protecting its most crucial player, A'ja Wilson. This isn't a new playbook, it's a tactic seen in every major sports league, from the NBA protecting its top draws in the past, to the NFL safeguarding its franchise quarterbacks. The unsettling question now is the WNBA employing the very same strategy with Wilson? You simply cannot grow a passionate, loyal fan base by making everyone feel like the results are pre-scripted or heavily influenced. Fans crave genuine competition, the thrill of fair play, not the bitter taste of favoritism. That's precisely why Fever fans, and indeed many others, are louder and more vocal than ever before. They see the glaring imbalance every single time Caitlin Clark takes significant contact with no whistle, while A'ja Wilson is seemingly sent to the line for what feels like sneezing too hard. And through all of this, Caitlin herself is handling it with remarkable composure as best she possibly can. She doesn't call out specific individuals by name, nor does she launch into angry rants with reporters. Yet her face in those moments during the heat of the game says it all. You can literally see it. She'll absorb a hit, look directly at the referee, and then just offer a small, disbelieving laugh, a silent testament to her mounting frustration. That underlying frustration is now palpable, even within the league itself, as other players are beginning to hint at the issue. A few veterans have posted cryptic messages on social media, things like, "Some of y'all got lifetime ref passes," and no names were needed. Everyone in the know understood exactly who they were talking about. So when A'ja Wilson hit that controversial walk-off shot, the internet didn't just celebrate, it immediately launched an investigation. Clips, slow-motion replays, and detailed breakdowns of every single foul that wasn't called flooded timelines. People were literally freeze-framing the last 2 minutes of the game like they were analyzing a crime scene. And here's the unexpected twist in this unfolding drama. A'ja Wilson herself is now starting to feel the intense heat from this controversy, because when your highlight moment, your game-winning shot, gets completely drowned out by a relentless wave of "you cheated" comments, that's instant regret territory. She attempted to post her usual "blessed and thankful" caption on Instagram, only to be met with fans sarcastically dubbing her "referee Wilson" and others writing scathing remarks like "nice win." The ref scored 12-0 too. Even ostensibly neutral sports pages are now openly questioning whether the league is actively protecting her. And that right there is when you know the conversation has definitively gone mainstream. If you dare to call out these perceived officiating discrepancies, people are quick to accuse you of simply hating on greatness. But let's be clear, this isn't about hate. This is about a fundamental demand for fairness, for an even playing field. Caitlin Clark's team, already struggling to rebuild around young stars and navigate the brutal landscape of professional basketball, shouldn't be forced to play what feels like 5-on-8 every single night. They deserve a level of competition where talent, not favoritism, dictates the outcome. Yet, it's not just about the players. The officials themselves are increasingly perceived as part of a biased game plan, a troubling reality that threatens to completely erode fan interest. When the outcome of a game feels predetermined, when the whistle seems to favor one side over another, the very essence of competition is lost. What remains is not thrilling sport, but rather a poorly scripted drama, leaving dedicated fans feeling cheated and disengaged, questioning why they should invest their time and emotion into a league where fairness seems to be an illusion. This perceived manipulation of the game could very well be the death knell for the league's burgeoning popularity. もるでシャキュ夢のようにこの entire situation reveals a profound irony. This is the very league that has spent untold hours and resources championing equality and respect throughout the season, striving to uplift women's sports on a global stage. However, behind the scenes, or perhaps more accurately, right there on the court for all to see, it appears to be actively cultivating an environment of blatant inequality, a glaring contradiction that undermines its stated values and mission. This isn't just a minor oversight, it's a systemic issue where one star player seems to be shielded and celebrated, while another equally talented is inexplicably penalized and marginalized. The stark contrast in treatment creates an uneven playing field that is impossible for even the most casual observer to ignore, fueling suspicions of favoritism rather than fair play. Such actions do not empower women's sports, as the league so often claims. Instead, they inflict irreparable damage upon its most precious asset, credibility. When the integrity of the game is compromised, when the public begins to doubt the authenticity of competition, the entire foundation upon which women's basketball is built starts to crumble, threatening to undo years of hard-won progress. Now let's be unequivocally clear, A'ja Wilson, in her own right, is not the antagonist of the WNBA saga. She stands as one of the most exceptionally gifted forwards in the game today, a true athletic marvel whose dazzling footwork, tenacious defense, and undeniable leadership on the court have rightfully earned her accolades and admiration. Her talent is undeniable, her impact profound, and her place among the league's elite is well-deserved. However, a dangerous narrative takes root when the conversation shifts from celebrating her undeniable skill to scrutinizing the integrity of her victories. When fans day after day begin to question not asterisk if asterisk she wins, but asterisk how asterisk she wins, the spotlight inevitably turns from her brilliance to the controversial circumstances surrounding her success. And in a deeply unfortunate twist, this burgeoning controversy isn't entirely her burden to bear. The blame, it seems, lies not solely with the players, but with the architects of the game itself, the referees and the league executives. They appear to operate under the misguided assumption that by overtly protecting and promoting their designated face of the league, they are guaranteeing its success and marketability, failing to grasp the profound implications of such biased interventions. If anything, this strategy is backfiring spectacularly, achieving precisely the opposite of its intended effect. The more transparently they favor one player, the more fiercely the fan base rallies behind the one who is perceived as getting the raw end of the deal. It's a classic underdog narrative, but one born from frustration and a deep-seated desire for fairness, propelling an unexpected hero into the spotlight. Indeed, you can almost asterisk the tectonic plates shifting within the online discourse. The tide of public opinion is undeniably turning, rapidly and dramatically. What was once a murmur of discontent has now swelled into a roaring chorus of protest, echoing across every digital platform. With every single questionable call that inexplicably benefits the aces, the digital landscape erupts, flooding social media with thousands upon thousands of comments, fiercely defending Caitlin Clark. Her supporters, now a formidable and vocal army, are meticulously documenting every perceived slight, every missed foul, every lopsided whistle, transforming online spaces into veritable war rooms of statistical analysis and righteous indignation. In this rapidly evolving narrative, Caitlin Clark has transcended her role as a player, becoming a powerful symbol of fairness and unyielding integrity in the face of adversity. Simultaneously, A'ja Wilson, through no fault of her own, is finding herself tragically cast as the emblem of perceived favoritism, her immense talent overshadowed by persistent whispers of an uneven playing field. It's truly astonishing how quickly public narratives can be rewritten, how swiftly perception can overshadow reality. Not long ago, A'ja Wilson was universally celebrated as the league's undisputed darling, a beacon of excellence whose star shone brighter with every dominant performance. Yet, in a shocking turn of events, she is now trending for all the wrong reasons, her name unfortunately becoming synonymous with scathing accusations of benefiting from a questionable relationship with the referees, a narrative that has undeniably tainted her otherwise stellar reputation. And you can visibly sense the toll this relentless scrutiny is taking on her. The weight of these accusations is palpable, a heavy burden that she is clearly struggling to manage under the intense glare of the public eye, affecting her demeanor both on and off the court. In her post-game interviews, you can see her attempting to deflect the tension with a forced smile, to brush off the mounting criticism with an air of nonchalance. Yet, beneath that veneer, the palpable tension is undeniable, a raw nerve exposed. Her carefully chosen phrases like the weary "I just play my game" or the defensive "I don't control the refs" reveal a simmering frustration, a subtle acknowledgement of the controversy swirling around her, even as she attempts to distance herself from it. However, her carefully crafted responses do little to deter the legions of watchful fans who have meticulously charted every single controversial call. When a distinct pattern of preferential treatment seems to consistently benefit one player every single night, the concept of mere coincidence quickly dissipates. For the discerning eye, it transforms into something far more troubling, a perceived systemic bias that undermines the very spirit of fair play and casts a dark shadow over the integrity of the game. After that particularly contentious Phoenix game, the furious wave of backlash didn't merely subside, it intensified, morphing into a full-blown public inquest. The digital world exploded with outrage as every major sports page, every podcast, and countless X threads transformed into ad hoc investigative units, meticulously dissecting every moment, every call, and every perceived injustice with an almost obsessive fervor, refusing to let the controversy fade into obscurity. Fans, armed with their smartphones and a relentless drive for fairness, began to meticulously compare every single foul called on A'ja Wilson, or more tellingly, every foul that wasn't called, against Caitlin Clark's entire season of perceived slights. The side-by-side analyses were damning, painting a stark picture of two stars playing under vastly different sets of rules, fueling the accusations of a heavily biased officiating system. The statistical evidence from that night was particularly glaring. A'ja Wilson stepped to the free throw line a staggering 12 times. This stands in stark contrast to Caitlin Clark, who despite being physically knocked down a half dozen times in a typical game, often considers herself fortunate to earn a mere 4 free throw attempts in an entire evening. The disparity is so pronounced that one hardly needs to be a conspiracy theorist to perceive a blatant bias. It's unequivocally evident within the official box score itself. The whispers of favoritism have grown so loud that even rival players have reportedly begun to hint at the uncomfortable truth, adding another layer of authenticity to the widespread discontent. One anonymous player, in a candid moment with a reporter, starkly articulated the pervasive sentiment, stating, "Some people in this league get protected like they're made of gold." The quote, though devoid of names, resonated deeply with the collective frustration of the fan base. There was no ambiguity. Fans across the nation instantly understood precisely which player and which team she was referring to, confirming their own suspicions. Meanwhile, the digital sphere erupted into a maelstrom of viral content and scathing critiques. Hashtags like Whistle Queen and Vegas Scripted began to trend relentlessly, fueled by a deluge of meticulously edited side-by-side video clips. These damning compilations starkly contrasted instances of Caitlin Clark being violently slammed to the court with no whistle, immediately followed by footage of A'ja Wilson receiving instant free throw calls for minimal, almost imperceptible contact. The visual evidence was powerful, undeniably swaying public opinion and cementing the narrative of an unfair advantage. When reporters, emboldened by the growing public outcry, finally cornered A'ja Wilson and directly questioned her about the mounting accusations, her response was telling in its absence. She offered no defense, no denial, no explanation. Her silence in that moment spoke volumes, a strategic decision perhaps, but one that many interpreted as an admission, or at the very least, an unwillingness to confront the underlying issues. Sometimes, saying absolutely nothing resonates far more loudly and often more damagingly than uttering the wrong words. The controversy has now escalated to such an extent that even NBA Commissioner Adam Silver's name has begun to resurface in public discourse, with fans clamoring for his intervention. There's a palpable demand for the NBA to investigate the WNBA's increasingly chaotic officiating, especially given the perceived deafening silence from WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, who for the 20th time this month has chosen to remain conspicuously quiet amidst the storm. If the league harbors any genuine aspirations for continued growth and widespread acceptance, it simply cannot afford to persist in this pretense that its passionate, well-informed fan base is somehow blind to the glaring inconsistencies. To ignore the rising tide of discontent is not only arrogant, but deeply detrimental to its long-term viability and public image. The fans are watching, they are analyzing, and they are expecting accountability. In a powerful display of collective defiance, the Fever fans ingeniously transformed the entire officiating debacle into a rallying cry, a badge of honor for their embattled star. While Caitlin Clark herself maintains a stoic silence, never publicly complaining about the relentless onslaught of missed calls and physical play, her devoted fan base vociferously takes up her cause. Every single uncalled foul, every perceived injustice, now serves as irrefutable proof that she is navigating her journey the hardest way imaginable, with no help, no favors, and against a system seemingly stacked against her, relying solely on the purity of her unparalleled talent and an unwavering commitment to genuine basketball. Ultimately, while A'ja Wilson may have secured victory in that specific game, the cost was far greater than a single win could ever justify. She tragically squandered a significant portion of her hard-earned credibility. When the majority of fans begin to harbor the unsettling belief that your triumphs are inextricably linked to the preferential blow of a referee's whistle, the shine inevitably fades from every trophy, every accolade, leaving behind a hollow, tarnished legacy. So where do we stand? Is A'ja Wilson genuinely benefiting from an unfair systemic advantage orchestrated by the officials? Or are fans merely a chorus of bitter voices, salty after yet another dominant Aces victory? Either way, the cold hard numbers presented in the box scores and the glaring disparities in calls across the league paint an undeniable picture. Regardless of individual interpretations, the whistle in this unfolding drama undeniably sounds profoundly one-sided. What are your thoughts on this escalating controversy? Drop your comments below and let us know your perspective. If you found this deep dive insightful, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more untold stories, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss an update. Because trust me, this WNBA drama, with all its twists and turns, isn't slowing down anytime soon.